are there any parallels? You having experience in both industries, are there parallels between real estate, crypto, kind of the different similarities? Like what has been your experience there?
Yeah, I mean, excuses to hold anything that you're going to value. That's all of this stuff is, in my opinion. Speculation, right? Doesn't matter whether it's crypto, it doesn't matter whether it's gold, doesn't matter really whether it's real estate. Speculation, like buying, as far as like buying a REIT, a REIT or something, or a stock or an index fund or whatever, right? So it's in your mind on why do you choose to risk and what are you risking? And in real estate, similar in my mind to buying Bitcoin miners. If you believe in Bitcoin miners and you're going to run a mining operation, you're going to have your hardware, you're going to have your overhead, you're going to have your downtime you need to compensate for. You're going to have your if you're savvy, you're going to build it into an entity. You're going to have tax deductible, and you're going to have profit and labor and all these other things, right? So you can do the same thing with real estate in some ways. You can say, look, I'm looking to buy rentable real estate in a market that supports the arbitrage. My cost is, $3,000 per month, but I can rent it out consistently for $4,500 a month. Like the place I'm in Miami, that's what it would rent for, right? Is between $4,500 to $5,000 a month is what it would rent for, and the overhead of getting a loan against it or to buy it or on paper, control it. The maintenance and upkeep, the maid to turn it over if you're going to short-term rent it, or if you're going to maintenance repair it every year or two when a tenant moves out and a new one moves in, your downtime. I mean, you're having all these things that you're justifying. Why should I put my name to a contract, a mortgage? Why should I risk, a couple $100,000 or, significant money if you're going to buy it outright? Why should I do that? And it is because you're looking for cash flow. So Bitcoin miners mine because they want to earn the inflation of Bitcoin, and then they want to sell that on the market. Gold and silver miners, oil rig, people that set up an oil rig and then they're extracting mineral out of the ground. They're doing the same thing. They're looking at something that's going to consistently be bought by the marketplace that they have. In real estate, it's tenancy. Who's your tenant and what are they going to pay to be there every month? In Bitcoin, it's what's the appetite to buy this thing that I invested into mining. In Hex, it's the same sort of thing. Like your excuse to yourself to sign a contract with yourself is because you're wanting the inflation reward, that you believe it's a sound money principle that will be adopted over time, right? So there's a lot of parallels between real estate, to me, and Bitcoin and Hex. Just Hex outperforms the other two in my mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've thought about it. I've talked to a few different real estate folks who have experience in that, and I think one of the common themes, even I remember talking to Matt Garabedian, who I think he's coming out with the new Hex book. It should be out end of this month or so. He was saying that everybody in the real estate wants into crypto, and everybody in crypto wants into real estate because of those, the things you highlighted too. It's like real estate, but the gains can be, there's asymmetric risk, right? Just the gains can be much, much bigger than what you can get in real estate.
Yeah, I mean, you can even have examples in 2019 and 20 till recently that government can come along and if you believe in real estate and you say, hey, I'm always going to have cash flow. There's always going to be demand for this apartment or this house or this neighborhood. In 2019, in a lot of ways, proved that not true. Now we have equity, if you want to call it that, increasing in that real estate prices have inflated over the past 2 years between 15 to 40%. Like, some markets have a 40% higher cost to buy the same house than they would have 2 years ago, right? And that is partly because of the debasing of the currency through inflating the supply of the currency, dollars, right? How many dollars there are now versus 2019. And we had that, also in 2009 and 10 and 11 and 12, all these other things that are inflating the supply of currency. So what I'm getting at is government can actually change whether or not your tenant has to pay to be there anymore. Not just because a rent control gets passed, but because you say, look, nobody's employed, but we can't have social distress or social unrest by evicting everybody. We can't evict people that are not paying, right? So you may have a moratorium that doesn't necessarily have the same risk in Hex as it would in real estate. That's why there's certain characteristics of the Hex protocol that I think are less risk than real estate going forward in some ways. They have different nuances.